And we have some breaking news coming in. India's External Affairs Ministry has rubbished a report by the New York Times concerning a recent call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump. The MEA says that the phone call on March 24th involved only Prime Minister Modi and Trump. It refuted the NYT's claim that Elon Musk sat in on the call. The New York Times had earlier claimed that Musk had been part of the call for unknown reasons and that there was no clarity if he had spoken or not. But an MEA spokesperson says, and I'm quoting here, "We have seen this story. The telephone conversation on the 24th of March was between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump only. As has been stated earlier, it provided the opportunity for exchange of views on the situation in West Asia." Now, this is the latest we're getting in at this moment. India's External Affairs Ministry, it has rubbished a report by the New York Times. And it was concerning a recent call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump. The MEA says that the phone call on March 24th involved only Prime Minister Modi and Trump. And it had refuted the New York Times claim that Elon Musk sat in on the call. In fact, the New York Times had earlier claimed that Musk had been part of the call for unknown reasons and that there was no clarity if he had spoken or not. But now an MEA spokesperson has said that they have seen the story and the telephone conversation on the 24th of March was only between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump. And it provided the opportunity for the exchange of views on the situation in West Asia. And now joining me on the phone line is our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal from New Delhi. Siddhant, tell us more now that we have some confirmation coming in. And of course, there are a lot of claims and counterclaims going around as per to this conflict. Tell us more that you have on this story.
Well, essentially, the Indian government saying that the conversation between Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump on 24th was on West Asia. And it was primarily between both the leaders. Now, New York Times said that Mr. Elon Musk was also present, but a carefully nuanced statement by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. We know that this was a second conversation between the two leaders this year after the February conversation, after the announcement on the fact that both sides will have a trading arrangement. But all in all, we know that essentially this is part of regular conversations, and this conversation basically focused on keeping the Indian side in the loop regarding the West Asia war. We know that the Indian side has had conversations with several world leaders, including West Asian leaders, the Iranian president and the French president. Now, this conversation that happened last week on 24th was at the request of the US President Donald Trump, and this conversation coming at a time when it was almost a month since the war started. We know that India is dealing with the impact of the West Asia war like other countries in the planet, and this conversation essentially was also on from the Indian side, focusing on many things, including keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. We know that the Indian side has said this several times in several conversations with the world leaders, and Donald Trump was no different.
Absolutely. Thanks, Siddhant, for getting us those details. That was our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, joining us on the phone line.